going, Critter Family? I hope you all are doing well. We're going over a video I believe was suggested to me, or Upstate Canine Academy. He used to be known as America's Canine Educator. I was confused those two, but Upstate Canine Academy, Tom Davis, talking about how to use the prong collar to train your dog. I think you don't get one in the first place. That's my opinion. Save yourself some money, save yourself some trouble, learn some actual skills. But that's just my opinion. So he's going to say everything you need to know about the prong collar. We're just going to go over this and give you my opinion, using this video and footage in it under the Fair Use Act for education, criticism, giving my point of view, trying to give a voice to the dogs, trying to be transparent. If you're ready for that, then let's get started. And before I do, if you want to go follow him, by all means, go follow him, go follow his advice, go subscribe to him, all that good stuff. If you want to do that, by all means, go ahead and do that. I don't recommend the stuff that he recommends, but that's what this channel is for, is to try to, again, give you the option to hear different sides and make up your own mind.
Know about the prong collar, what it is, how to use it, and how it can change your dog's life forever.
I disagree with that, but okay, because the reason why I disagree is because you become reliant on the prong collar. Him, just like all these other trainers that have the treat pouch, they never use it. They just have it on. He has a German Shepherd, very easy, or some kind of Shepherd, very easy to work with. With force, like the prong collar, or with treats. So you don't even need the prong collar. Just cut the middleman out and develop better skills and communication with your dog.
Enters the environment, or there's a heavy distraction.
So a tiny slip blade around the dog's neck that's causing pain, compliance. They won't explain that to you, though.
That they can't work against. So you want it nice and...
So when the collar doesn't work because it doesn't cause enough pain, then we use the prong collar with less surface area. Everybody always says, the flat buckle collar, it has one point of pressure across your dog's throat, but it's wider. It's like if you're laying on a bed of nails and your entire body is laying on a bed of 10 nails. That's a lot of pressure. You're going to feel it on those 10 nails being, evenly distributed amongst your body. Versus if you're laying on a bed of 10 million nails, you're going to feel it a lot less. And then even if you're laying on the comfiest, coziest mattress made of cotton or down feathers or that memory foam, you won't feel anything. The princess and the pea, right? So the way the prong collar works is because it causes pain from those 10 nails, is digging in versus this digging in versus this. Or you teach the animal, you can teach the dog in a collar or a harness. I teach them to give into pressure, lightly through both. But I want a wide, flat buckle collar that's more supportive, versus I don't use pain compliance. I don't use force.
Snug, behind the dog's ears.
They want it behind the ears. As you can see, this dog is really not comfortable at all with that. A beautiful dog. But there's a bunch of nerve endings here. It's very, very sensitive here. Behind the ears, there's, they say a pressure point. Under here, it's very sensitive. Versus down here, the dog can still pull through it. But up here, you have thyroid glands, salivary glands. You have the esophagus, or I guess the trachea comes first, and then the esophagus. You have, arteries and blood flow and nerves. It's super sensitive there. So that's why they put it there. And that's why you'll see a lot of slip bleeds high up behind the head, behind the skull, because you have the most control of the animal using the least amount of pressure, because it's very painful there. Put a piece of floss behind your ear and see how much pressure you can put on it before you cry uncle. Don't actually do that. Don't hurt yourself, but imagine that.
So this is the 2.25. Now, Greta isn't a hard puller.
Lip lick. She already gave a lip lick. She's very nervous. She feels pressure, which is a constant correction, by the way. The original purpose of the prong collar was not to be like that snug. From what I know, from what I've learned, it's supposed to be looser and then you pop and loosen. But now it's just snug all the time, so the dog gets a constant correction, or the constant threat of correction, and then when they do pop it, then it digs in more.
A dog that just needs a little power steering.
Now, power steering, okay. So if you have a dog that these people say needs power steering, that means they're just like tow barring him around. That means that, to me, that tells me that this trainer has no skill in being able to teach the dog without relying on these tools. The only, tool in his toolbox, although he shows a bunch of other fancier tools, is a prong collar, or maybe a slip lead, or even a shock collar, e-collar, electric collar, whatever. We're transparent over here, shock collar. The only tool he has in his toolbox is a hammer. He views every problem as a nail. So he only has one tool. He'll see a screw, no problem, I'll just bang it in. There's, a problem with your electricity, I'll just bang it with my hammer. Your dishwasher doesn't work, just hit it with a hammer. Same thing with the dogs. Your dog pulls, prong collar. Your dog's reactive, prong collar. Your dog's fearful, prong collar. We'll just drag him, we'll force him. Okay, so the colors are to show the thickness of the prong, the gauge of the prong. So I thought that the fancy colors were to just for people who wanted to hide, say, a prong in a dark colored dog's coat. But this, and somebody else who mentioned in the comments before had clarified that they are for either a certain strength, or here it is a size of the diameter of the prong, which doesn't make any difference at all. It's still painful.
It's the actual size of the gauge. And what this does, as you guys can see, is if I pull up on this D-ring right here, it puts pressure at every point. 2, 4, 6.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many numbers you say, dude. Compared to the collar that's already on her, or the leash around yourself, or even the thickness of your hoodie, it doesn't make it any better. It is still like laying on, you can lay on 24 nails, 24 nails. You're still going to feel it. Versus cloth, versus 2 million nails, versus 2,000 nails. It's still the same thing.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, depending on how big your prong collar is. And it distributes that pressure evenly. If your prong collar is not...
Even though it's evenly, it still hurts. Because there's a lot more surface area to your dog that the prong collar does not cover.
Exactly what we were talking about. Doesn't hurt the dog.
No, that's just a straight up lie. If it doesn't hurt, how does it work? At the very least, I say it causes discomfort. At the very most, it causes pain. Where is it? Tethered to the door. Tethered to me. Okay, you can see it's already, God, my throat is already like red. Just from having it on. But that could just be me. So, if we're just walking and we don't know how long this thing... Oh, Jesus Christ. Holy sh**. Oh my God. Good boy. I did not expect that to hurt quite so much. Whew. The prong collar hurts. That's why they use it. It can't not hurt. It's metal, small points in your neck. I just did a video on Garrett with American Standard Dog Training, where he had 2 prong collars on a dog with a bite history and a muzzle. And he admitted himself that he stood by his decision to give the dog 5 very hard, harsh pops, corrections with the prong collar, and made the dog vocalize. You can't tell me that that didn't hurt. He did it to change the behavior. So that is a straight up lie. The prong collar hurts. Otherwise, or causes some kind of discomfort. Otherwise, it wouldn't work.
Doesn't affect the dog. Doesn't do anything. These are not...
If it doesn't do anything, then why the hell do you use it? Whew. Wow. Dan, that was my own doing of walking, and I really did not expect it to be that painful. Oh my Lord. But, never mind, people, don't worry. It's just pressure. Alright, I don't know where to look for the camera. It's just pressure. Now, the thing about pressure, I'm afraid to move away from Jesus. He's just repeating the lie over and over and over again.
Collar looks like. The dog, she pulled a little bit by flicking my wrist.
Flicking your wrist. See, you don't need a whole lot of pressure. when you have powered steering. It's like a leverage bit on a horse. You know, or you know, we'll keep it to dogs. See, he has this little treat pouch here. That's all he needs. He doesn't need prong collar on this dog. He could have this dog off leash with just, you know, the treats and fading it out and actual skills. It takes skills to use treats properly. This does not take skills. That's why anybody can use it and get results. But the results themselves are not what we worry about. It's how we get the results. More prong corrections. So I have walked into a prong collar just tied to my door. My own forward motion. And that hurt like hell. And I'll put that clip up here. You can't tell me that prong collars don't hurt. Take two pens, 2 toothpicks, put them against your neck. See how far you want to dig into them before it really hurts and you stop. And that's like a wooden toothpick. It's not metal.
Up at me. Heel. Do that again. Good.
Closed mouth, very fearful, ears back, and then he rewarded. But that could have been just for the camera.
Heel. Good. Leave it.
Ouch.
Good. So you guys see
set the dog up for failure. Pop didn't need to do it. I'll put a link in the description showing how I got my Shiba Inu to leave treats alone. And yes, I'm not dressed up, I'm dressed up in a silly costume, but I'm still able to get him to leave food alone without ever touching him.
That right there, those are the corrections that we're talking about.
But you don't need it because she gave you a lip lick. She gave a lip lick as she was looking down because of anxiety. She's looking up to see if you're going to give her a reward, which you're not going to. So her only reward is not being popped by the painful or at least uncomfortable prong collar.
Exactly what a prong collar looks like. The dog was like, ooh, piece of candy. Correction. You guys heard the slang.
But you didn't need it. She didn't need it. You need it because you don't know what you're doing because you're unskilled. I mean, they could be so much better if they just practiced it, but they don't because it's easy. It's easy to correct a dog. I mean, literally anybody can do it and get results. It takes skill and education and practice and timing to not have to even touch a dog.
Just a quick little flick, and she goes, ooh, okay, and she reclused out. So what did that?
She says, ouch, and then she gave a lip lick. A sign of anxiety, and then she looked at you saying, who knows what she's saying. I can't tell you exactly what the dog's saying, but she's trying to avoid correction.
Really quickly, it's just a lot of pressure all at once.
No, it hurts. It hurts. Stop lying, dude. Just straight up stop lying.
Stop talking!
Oh, it's just pressure. No, if she had a flat collar, that would be pressure. This is not just pressure all at once. It hurts. Talking about sizing.
First time. So this cur again I know is going to be too big for her. Greta, sit. Good sit. So if you look at this prong collar, and this would be a good collar for her if she was a huge puller. She's not really a heavy shepherd by any means. So we're going to put this on. You guys can see it's probably 3 prongs too big, right? So it's way too big for her. So what the dead ring does is it disables the collar. So here's your triangle. This is your correction, right? This is where your leash will go.
But you don't have that much free room because it's so tight. You barely have that much more room for the collar to tighten. So it's...
And if you guys have a 2.25 that has a circular ring and then a half circle ring, your leash is always going to go on the half circle ring up top. And the dead ring is simple. Let's say, oops, I forgot my slip. I forgot my flat collar, I forgot my martingale.
Because you want a backup, because in case this collar somehow fails or explodes, and your dog doesn't have any bond with you, because you rely on something like this, they may run away. So let's make sure we tie them up with a slip lead or some other backup, so that way we can still keep them, within our control.
A prong collar, but I don't want to correct my dog for pulling if we're on a break or we're on a hike. Oopsie daisy. All you do is
Dude, you're still going to be correcting her. It is a constant correction. I don't care if you put it on a dead ring or not. If the dog is just sniffing and you trip, you can correct her by tightening that lead. If she's tied to a tree and she moves forward, she's going to correct herself. If a child runs up and takes that leash and runs off with it, they will correct the dog. My own Shiba, his correction was, I walked him on a harness, on the back of a harness, and I could walk him so simply. It took time. It took understanding. But he could walk in anything. If you find yourself aggressively pulling back on the dog, take a break from training and come back to it.
This requires patience and consistency to teach a dog properly, not manhandling and force. You should enjoy training, not resent it. I guarantee if you hate training, your dog will too. Learning anything new is a process and not an event. Keep that in mind, and you two will be just fine.
And if I were to trip and just tighten that leash on the back of his regular harness, his Y-shaped harness, not no pull, not nothing. If I were to accidentally trip or slip and that leash were to go tight and pop, he would stop and say, whoa, what's going on? That was his correction, which I didn't even mean to do. That wasn't a normal correction for me. For me, I would just, slowly, take out slack in the leash and let him kind of stop. And we would just stand there until he, loosened the leash or whatnot. Okay, so he says every dog is different and needs different training and tools to be successful. No, actually they don't. No dog needs, he's saying this to try to sell you this, but every dog he works with, he puts a prong collar on regardless, he puts a shock collar on, he puts all these other tools on, regardless. He puts a prong collar or a slip lead on every dog. So the owners or the humans are the ones who think that they need different tools to be successful. Any dog, any, sentient being doesn't need the tools if you understand how to work with them. You can easily work with a dog. I do. And I'm not any genius. I work with dogs with a bite history without ever touching them, without ever with them on a harness, I don't ever take the leash. The owner has the leash the entire time. I don't ever have to use a prong collar or an e-collar or chuck something from them at a distance. Yeah, I use my treats, and we fade away from that. And yes, I learned to, teach them to be desensitized to certain things. And no, it doesn't take years. And if it takes months, then who cares? Why do you think you're so special that you deserve to be, have all your problems fixed like that? Stop acting so entitled. If you think that that's how you should, I don't take people like that. I turn people down. I don't train people who want a 5-minute trainer. I'm not going to do it. So that was that video. Quick one, just again, explaining it. Explaining what they explain over and over and over again. That they say, the prong doesn't hurt. It's just pressure. It's just this. It's a mother's bite. It's blah, 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 blah. All lies. All, just gaslighting. All just, try to act like they're all transparent. Nope. They're not. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. I do appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed this video or you got something from it. Go say hi to your little critters. Say howdy do for me. Give them some kind of loving. And until next time, stay positive.